Dream Stands, the full dilemma. Hello everyone, my name is Cornight360, and in this video we will be talking about dream stands, whether they are good, bad, or somewhere in between. We will talk about if stand culture is okay, and if it isn't, then what we can do about it. We will talk about some of the good and bad things stands do. We will also talk about things like stands making not so good art, and then also when it comes to shipping. We will also talk about dream haters and do an overview of the John Swan, Glow Squid, and Speedrun debates. Overall, I hope you enjoy this video. Now for a little bit of background. I'm a fan of Dreams. I have been subbed to all of his channels, and I have been subbed to him since 5 mil. And I am also sub to him on all my alt channels on his main. Overall, though, I'm more of a casual viewer. I've only caught one of his streams once, and when I did, I only watched it for like 5 minutes, and then went and did something, and watched something else, and did something else. I watch a whole lot of Minecraft channels, commentary channels like Connor Pugs, trolling channels like Jack Sucks at Life and Donnie Bobes and Spifey, survival 100-day challenge channels like SP737, Zelcom, OGs like Stampy, Dan, and Squid. I watch everyone on the Dream SMP and most other Minecraft channels, and if I name all of them, we'd be here all day. Basically, I'm a fan of many creators and a stan of none. While I do watch Dream pretty regularly, and I've watched him probably longer than most of his stans, I do not consider myself a stan. Side note, I do have an alt Twitter called Grogu Stan 2, but since that's me stanning a fictional Star Wars character, I think that makes it okay. Now, let's get into the part about what defines a stan. There are two major definitions of a stan. One is that it means stalker fan or obsessive fan. The other thing is that it just means loving or mega fan. I think that most dream stans fit the second definition better. Now, a definition I have found that matches both is in a quote that says, an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. I think this is a good overall definition of the term that makes sense since it can match both other definitions. What I've heard, the term comes from an Eminem song. Side note, if I am wrong, please fact check me. Now, I want to point out that I'm a fairly active member of the Minecraft community, so it is most likely that I come in contact with many stans of Dreams and other creators. Now, this is the part where I'd like to talk about what are the kind of things stans do. Now, lumping all Dream stans in one group is like putting a whole country in one group. The fandom has more subs in it than the populations of Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand, and Hong Kong combined. There are many different kinds of Dream stans, and I'm going to put them in 4 easy groups to remember. 2 of the groups are good, and 2 of the groups are bad. Group 1. This group I'm going to call the casual stan. They are not much more than a regular fan. They are more involved in the community, and maybe they spend a lot of time on Dream SMP Twitter, Discords, and Reddits, or other social platforms. Maybe they've watched all of Dream's streams live, or have watched every single one of his videos many times, but some might have only watched a couple of his videos. Overall, this group is a good group of stans. They're nice, and they behave themselves. Group 2 is the toxic stans. This is one of the bad groups. They're toxic, mean, and bully people on Twitter. They're not kind and hate everyone that just does not watch his videos. This group is on average not a person that has been in the Minecraft community for that long and do not understand the do's and don'ts of the community and the game. Side note, Dream is not to blame for a lot of these ones. Many of them are from SMP Live and are from fan bases of people like Slat and the rest of the Lunch Club. They cancel other members of the SMP, send death threats to other people. Many of them are shippers that take it too far and are rude, mean, ignorant, and are not only other members of the community, but the creators themselves. They overstep boundaries, and I've had multiple interactions with these group of bad stans, which I will describe later in these videos. Many of these stans hated Techno when he won the duel, and many of these stans are the ones that sends death threats and hurtful messages to people and members of the community. If you asked a Dream hater what a Dream stan was, they might talk about this group, even though I've personally had thousands of interactions with Dream stans, and only a handful have acted like this. Many other commentary channels act like this the majority, when it is only about 1 to 5%. Still too many, but not nearly enough to be the majority or even close to a high percentage of the community. Group 3 are another good group. They are the talented stans. They are artists and animators like Saddest and many others. They spend hours working on these drawings and animations and do a great job. I'm going to put compilation channels in here, as they spend a lot of time making content of Dream and of Dream SMP members. Group 4 is the gross stans. I will not talk about them that much here because they are a very, 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 very small community of members of the fandom. There are only about a couple hundred of them, maybe even only a couple dozen. They draw bad art of Dream and many other people's that has gore and stuff that I don't want to talk about, because I want these videos to be open to all people and I don't want some people to get grossed out. To put it in vague terms, these people are drawing not so family-friendly art of people like Tom Yedid, who is a minor I may add. Now, this is very gross and wrong, but I knew it had to come up. Now, many haters act like Group 4 and Group 2, the toxic and gross stans, make up most of the fandom, but this is just not true. Most Dream stans are nice, great people, and many of them are very, 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 very bad. Now, I've had some interaction with Group 2 stans, but luckily before I've never seen or met a Group 4 stan. But one time I met Group 2 stans. Two Group 2 stans, actually. And it was not fun. They bullied and harassed me, and they acted very rude and just plain old dumb. So here's the story. This was right after the Minecon vote, and I wanted the S-Ologer to win. It seemed like the best mob, and I and everyone I knew thought that it should be in the game. And it was winning. Then Dream came out and was like, "Hey, if you vote close, Squid, I'll go and send you a follow back. And if you send me proof, then I will follow you. Yes, I will." He also did not follow anyone back. Now, this is just cheating a vote, and I don't personally think Dream meant to do this. I think he was just joking around. He did not realize the results of his actions. He had since apologized for it, but it still stopped a good mob being added to the game. Now, luckily for us, Mojang is great, and they added a bunch of new cool stuff with the glow squid, and it all worked out in the end. Now, when Dream did his apology, I wrote under his tweet that I was glad that he had said sorry and that I still respected him as a creator. These Group 2 stans came after me and started acting like he had attacked Dream or something. They called me a hater and told me to get over it. I pointed out that I'd been watching Dream for almost a year at that point, and that I had been watching him most likely longer than they had. They saw this as a personal attack and started telling me to get over it, and started calling me toxic, and started saying curses at me when I had only shown them respect. The ironic thing is that they were telling me to get over it and that it was just a stupid mob vote, but if you looked at one of their Twitter accounts, their username was that I wish I had voted Moobloom. This was an old Twitter account that has since been deactivated, so I can't find the screenshots, but if you look in the replies of Dream's apology, I bet you can find it. Luckily, someone came to my aid and trolled the stans. Afterwards, I talked to a techno fan about it, and he said that he had similar things happen to him when the Dream and techno duel happened. He got attacked by some stans when he said that he thought that Techno would win because Techno was a better player. And he got attacked. Overall, I feel that Dream needs to do more to deal with Group 2 stans. Recently, Dream got in a bit of drama with another YouTuber called John Swan, because John Swan did something bad about it 1 year ago and tried to cover it up recently. I won't go too much into it because I'm planning on making a video about it, but those are the basics. If you want to learn the basics, a YouTuber named Optimus made a great video about it, which I will link in the description. But basically, John Swan has made up his lies and tricked the commentary community into believing his side. Now, Dream stans got mad at the members of the commentary community because they were siding with John. Of course, John wasn't manipulating them, but stans still came after them, and some even got death threats from Group 2 stans. Now, I don't think I have to say this, but I'm going to anyway. Death threats are bad, very bad, and you should not be doing them. Even though John did a very, very, very bad thing, that does not mean that you should send death threats. I'm going to talk about the speedrun controversy next. Basically, I assume a bunch of people have already heard this, but basically the speedrun mods, which may I point out are not hired or part of Mojang, accused Dream of cheating because the chances of his run were very rare according to their math. Dream clapped back and pointed out good evidence to back him up. To this day, we're not sure what the truth is or not. A bunch of stans and haters attacked each other over this. Now, I think this was a good segue into talking about haters. On average, haters have done a lot worse than Group 2 stans. They are more There are more toxic haters than more toxic stans. I've had many nice interactions with Dream haters, though, and not all of them are bad people, or I would say even that like much of a majority. If it is a slight majority, but not that very large of a majority. There are many nice haters, which I've interacted with, many of which I'm close internet friends with and real life friends with. A whole bunch of haters say mean things, act rude, and send death threats to Dream, and act like stans to make them look bad, make up lies, say ableist things, try to cancel Dream and his friends by searching for bad stuff on their pages and try and make them look worse than they are, and are overall worse than the people that they're hating on. Now this is part of the video where it's going to talk about Dream's reaction video about stans. I'm going to break down each point he makes. The title starts with him making fun of YouTubers, like myself, that make videos with titles like "Stalker fans must be stopped" or other things like that. Dream points out that the claim that stalker fans must be stopped is a claim used a lot, which is true. He points out that the meaning of stan has changed. Dream points out that he has been asked a lot to stop or condemn stans. Dream points out that many channels, like myself, go after stans a lot, which is very true. Talking about Dream is a thing that gets a lot of views. Why else do you think I'm talking about it right now? It gets views. Dream points out that if you came to his response video for him to condemn stans, then you came to the wrong place, which is pretty telling already that we were only like we were less than 2 minutes in, and he's already saying that he's not going to condemn stans at all. That they normally have a profile picture. He points out how to find a stan, that they normally have a profile pic of Dream or other members of the Dream team. Dream points out how they normally tweet a lot about Dream and what he does. Dream points out that a lot of people use this to make it sound as though stans are obsessive. Dream points out that he's had some stalkers, but that most stans are not like that. He points out that most stans are just mega fans, that they are group 1 if we use my category. Dream points out that some people might find people having their profile picture as you be weird, but that he does not mind it. Personally, I think that if Dream was okay with it, then it's fine. Creators can have boundaries against their face using their profile picture if they want, and stans should not use them, but that if Dream's okay with it, then it's perfectly fine. Dream spends the next part pointing out that many people are big fans of things like football players and spend all day watching football and analyzing the games and obsessing over the players. I think this is a good point. All the time I see people complain about Dream stans, and then I look at their timeline and there's them fanboying over soccer players, or football if you're watching this from a different nation that calls it football. Which in my opinion makes more sense, because if you play soccer with your foot, then it should be called football. American football is just like you like barely even use your foot. It should be called like tackle ball or something. I'm getting off topic. I need to get back on topic. But I always find that kind of hypocritical. Okay, so here we go. Let me go back to I always find that that like haters, when they go and talk about how obsessive Dream stans are, and then it's just them obsessing over toxic stans, but it like they're going and it's like a stan themselves of football is just like super hypocritical. Like the other day when the hashtag touch grass was trending, a whole bunch of them had a soccer profile pictures, and their whole timeline was just them obsessing over soccer players, and they had profile pictures of soccer players. Now this hashtag was just dumb for many reasons. First of all, people live in cities which don't have that much grass. Luckily, I live in an area by a pond, so I touch grass a lot, but there are some people that don't have that luxury. Next to that, we are in lockdown. Reason 3 is that many stans probably touch grass a lot. What does not touching grass have to do with stans? Reason 4, ever heard of a grass allergy? I have a good friend that has a grass allergy to cut grass, and that I know some people also have these kinds of allergies. That is a pretty common one. Now let's get back to Dream's reaction. Dream points out that there are some stans that are bad, but I think that he downplays it a lot. Like, I'd say that Dream has tens of thousands of toxic stans. Sure, Dream has millions of nice ones, but that's still way too many toxic stans. Like, just the other day, Dream got in a meme battle with an actor over his merch. Now, this is a whole big deal, but basically, a bunch of people think that Dream's merch is bad, even though it's literally just a brand logo, and many people complaining about Dream's merch that was just a brand logo, were literally wearing clothes that were brand logos. Like, people are complaining about Dream's merch being simple, but then they also wear clothes like Nike and Adidas that are literally just brand logos. Like, I have a North Face jacket that was on sale and it was still $20 more than Dream's, and it literally was an even worse logo. So, like, literally just said North Face on, and it was a black jacket. Like, it's really not that impressive. But some stands got mad when an actor said that Dream's merch was for kids. Jokingly, I might add, and a few Group 2 stands made fun of the actor's dead dog. Now, I love dogs, and this made me very mad, so I'm glad Dream came out and said that they were wrong to bully the guy and make fun of his dead pet. Those Group 2 stands are the worst. Now let's get back to Dream's reaction. Dream points out that haters are the ones that do most of the toxic stuff. Some try to dox him. I remember they tried to act like Dream died, and that was just wrong. Dream even pointed out that one tried to get his address, and that many sent him death threats. He even said that he sees more haters than stands in general. It seems as though Dream has more problems with Dream haters than Dream stands. I'm glad that he does talk about it, but some of the bad stands, but I wish he'd done a bit more. I think he downplayed the percentage, and how bad Group 2 stands are. He goes on to talk about the Dream GPS account and how it was fake and wrong. He also points out that many times Group 1 stands are actually the ones that stop and call out the Group 2 stands. Dream points out that too many times stands will get called out just because they are a stan and not because of their actions. Dream points out that many times people get called stands and get shamed, so the stands try and act like they're not stands. Dream again brings up that many people are shamed just for saying that Dream is a good Minecraft player. Dream also goes and brings up his sports example, that people can debate who is better. Like, for an example, I could say, who's better, Tom Brady or Marcus Mariota? Well, I personally think Mariota's better because I watch him more, and I've watched him since he was in college, and I'm a big fan of the old team he was on. Does that make me biased? Yes, it does. Does that make me a toxic Marcus Mariota stan? I don't think it does. Some people can debate whether or not Dream or Techno is better at the game, even though Techno won the duel. Does that mean that if a Dream stan thinks Dream is better, then it makes them toxic? No, it makes them biased. Dream also points out that if they do a bad thing, he will normally come out and correct them. This is something that he does a lot. Dream points out that stands should not be doing the things that he tells them not to do in the first place, and I agree with this. He also points out that he has control over stands, but that haters do not listen to him, which makes sense. Dream points out that you should not generalize a whole group of people into one group. This is why I've put stands in 4 groups, in order to make it clear that all stands are not the same. Dream points out that most stands are nice people, and I think that Dream might have downplayed this a little bit, so I found a YouTube comment that sums it up very well. Okay, Dream, but what about the hundreds of people that send death threats to people who oppose any of your statements? It is a small percentage of your fan base, but your fan base is big enough for that small percentage to be a lot of people. These stands, in quotation marks, we refer to, are the ones that think that you cannot do wrong, not the ones you talked about in this video. Don't get me wrong, I am a fan of yours, but I recognize that you are human and you can make mistakes. These stands, keep in mind, in my case, he's talking about Group 2 stands, do not. And they do sometimes things that they could be taken to court if they were done in IRL rather than online. I found this comment on Dream Stand's video, and I think it sums up the whole situation very well. And you might be wondering why I called this video Dream Stands, the Full Dilemma. A dilemma means a choice between 2 opinions. You might be wondering what the 2 choices are. Well, the choice is simple. Are you going to be a toxic person on your side? Are you going to be a toxic stan or a toxic hater? Both are the same. Both are 2 sides of the same coin. Toxic people that aren't willing to compromise. Now, overall, this is the TLDR, or the too long didn't read of this video. The vast majority of Dream stands are good, but some are not. And the ones that are bad are big problems, and that we need to do all that we can to stop toxic stands. Good stands are fine, but toxic ones are not, and we can't just sit around and ignore the toxic stands just because they are a minority. Thank you all for watching this video. It took hours to make, and I am so glad you guys enjoyed it if you did, and I will catch you all later. Goodbye.